Hi survivors, and welcome to the Apocalypse Post. I'm your host Makeshift, and I want to know how your Apocalypse 2020 is going. Also, how do you like my quarantine hair? I needed a haircut long before this all went down. COVID-19 may have us all locked down for now, but from what I'm seeing from all of you, you guys are getting some incredible building, wasting, and costuming time in. That brings us to today's episode, which I'm hoping is just the first in a series of the Apocalypse Post episodes created by you. I want to see what you're working on, what your life is like beyond the pandemic, and I want to see what you can teach us in the ways of post-apocalypse art and survival. If you want to be on a future episode, send me a message with your idea and we'll get you started. My first guest host is Windsor of the Farlander tribe. He's a black thumb, a scrapper, and a fellow YouTuber. His channel has a bunch of tutorials, festival footage, and he definitely deserves a follow. You'll find a link to his channel below and in the end screen. On his channel, you can find more about his wasteland cars, including his work-in-progress Geo Metro and his fully wasted 84 Nissan pickup. And last thing before we get started, make sure you're subscribed and hit that bell so you never, ever miss an episode. All right, take it away, Windsor.
Hello, I'm Sean, also known as Windsor, and this is my garage. This is affectionately known as BlackFingerGarage. I have a little YouTube channel called BlackFingerGarage where I like to build crazy projects and just see what happens when I throw this kind of metal on this kind of metal and weld them together and see what happens. That's kind of my thing. This is where I do and spend most of my projects and time is right here in this garage. It's kind of something that is a big dream come true to me. As I show you my projects and the vehicles I own and the vehicles I drive around, the wasteland aesthetic and the wasteland life is everything to me. My daily driver is a wasteland vehicle. I have several projects going on that are all wasteland-centric vehicles. But outside of that, I'm a pretty normal guy. You know, I have 4 kids, I'm married, I have a 6-acre farm. I mean, who doesn't have a 6-acre farm? I also love to do things like play drums. I played drums for 35 years in metal bands and country bands and classic rock bands and pretty much everything you can think of. I've been playing in bands most of my life. So these are the passions in my life. Besides Mad Max and Wasteland, it's drums, it's my farm, it's my animals. I love all my animals. I love my family. I love, not in that order.
Sit. Good boy. What are you doing?
But I just wanted to give you a little insight into who this Windsor guy is. Since I live here in northern Alabama, in the beautiful Sand Mountain area of northern Alabama, the major events that I go to are Aftermath, New Calana, things like that. Of course, this year everything's canceled, so we just have to do our own thing here in the farm. One of my favorite parts of building these types of vehicles is the fact that I can build things that no one else has really seen. Not too many people build wasteland cars out of Geo Metros. Now, I have seen a couple. I know that there are a couple out there. Some really great jobs on those too. And like my Ford Fairlane, that's just my kind of go to the store vehicle, you know, the one that I take around. And people in this area, I live in a small town of about 1,200 people, and they know me, you know, good or bad, they know me. People who love old cars hate me because of the front end that I've done to this car. People who love Geo Metros, the 5 of you out there, hate the fact that I cut this thing up, you know. People who love Nissan trucks, they make them into lowriders, and they hate that I raise that thing up and put giant, you know, boggers on it and drive around out in the mud. They hate that I've cut it up. But to me, that's what it's all about. You know, I just really enjoy building things out of things laying around. You know, I have like this metal here that I use for this Geo Metro. This roll bar is made from a bed that I had a spare bed. You know, I cut it up, made the roll bar frame for it. Most of what you find in my vehicles are things that I've either gotten at the scrapyard and paid, you know, what I guess they sell it twice what scrap cost is. Between that and things I've literally found out in my pasture just going out there and doing some metal detecting and things like that. We have a giant barn out there where I've taken a lot of the metal and thrown it on these vehicles. I just love repurposing. I love the fact that it's genuine rust and genuine just junk, just junk you throw together, and you kind of build these things out of this junk, and I love it. This here is my most recent project I've been working on. I affectionately call it the Geo Cart, even though that's not the name I'm going to keep. It's a Geo Metro, 1993 Geo Metro with a tiny little 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. I rebuilt the engine last year, so it runs great, but my wife didn't like it. She didn't want to take it to work every day, so we got her a different car, and I said, I'm going to just cut this thing up. This thing I have been building on a little bit. You can tell it's a work in progress. It's probably 25% done at this point. I just welded these bars up here last night, and I have a video on my channel of me distressing this metal right here in a bonfire like I did for septic tank. Basically that's going to be kind of a makeshift roll cage-y thing. Not really, because it's not effective. It's made from an old bunk bed that was my kid's bunk bed. I tore it apart and burned it in a fire, and now it's going to be part of this little wasteland buggy project. I have a lot of work to do to this. This is some of that canvas drop cloth that I used for my tent and septic tank last year at Wasteland Weekend. So I've repurposed it. I'm going to use it to finish off these seats, to recover them, and probably in pieces. I don't know. We'll see how I do with that. But I want to make this thing 100% Wasteland. Interior, exterior, everything. Like I said, this is probably 25-30% done, so don't even look at how shiny that black paint is. That will all get beat up and distressed. These tires, I'll get some big knobby tires on there. Get some lights, get a new hood made out of scrap metal. Probably take that air cleaner off. A lot of things still in the plans for this bad boy, but it's going to be a little mud cart, something I'm going to take around the property or at Aftermath or other local events. And this right here is my 1963 Ford Fairlane. This was a family heirloom, believe it or not. I inherited this from my grandfather, who got it from his father-in-law. They bought it new in '63 for a retirement gift for themselves. So it doesn't have a lot of options. It has has manual steering, manual brakes, no air conditioning, but it does have the V8. It has a 221 V8, very, very small V8. It's pretty beat up. Somebody dropped like battery acid, I guess, on the paint here. It's got some dents in it along the side. It's a 4-door, which is very undesirable in the collector community, but I love it. I will drive this thing till I die because it has 40,000 original miles on it. Those 40,000 miles were pretty rough on this thing. They obviously hit some things with it. My great-grandmother drove this until she was 90, 93, I think. So it was abused, but it sat for a long, long time. I have some records from oil changes that go back to the 80s, and the mileage was only about 5,000 miles less than I have on it right now. So it's sat for a long time. When I got it in 1999, I replaced all the gaskets. I took the engine apart, did all the gaskets and seals, and just kind of made sure it didn't leak anywhere. But I don't plan to do anything to the body. Plan to keep that like it is. I threw this little grill on here actually yesterday because I didn't like the chrome grill, and I wanted to make it look a little Mad Max without welding on it. This is just bolted in using the original bolt holes and the original bolts. So just something I want to do to kind of give it a little bit of a wasteland flair. But this is a fully operational, drivable, stoppable, shiftable vehicle that I like to take out every once in a while. Right now it's sitting in my garage because I'm going to upgrade the charging system from a generator to an alternator. So that's one day. It's one of those one-day projects. But also I don't like it to sit out in the rain because it does rain a lot here. This here is my everyday driver, my big beast, my 1987 F350, Ford F350, dually 4-speed 4-wheel drive. This thing is a monster, and it's my favorite vehicle, one of my dream vehicles of all time. And I have made this, it's not, you know, it's not a full wasteland vehicle yet. I did paint it with Raptor liner to protect the outside, and after I fixed some pretty big damage in these fiberglass fenders here. But the rest of it is pretty much a camping vehicle. This is something I take out camping with the family. There's a nice memory foam bed there, tons of storage underneath for camping supplies and tools and all that good stuff. But I also need to use it for things like hauling hay, hauling trailers, cattle trailers, things like that, because we do live on a farm here. So it's a work truck and a daily driver and a wasteland truck. There's a nice view from the inside of the bed in there, and of course, Wasteland Weekend sticker. This is septic tank. This is my 1984 Nissan 720 pickup truck. It's a extended cab, 4-wheel drive. It comes with the rare short bed version. No, actually it was a long bed, and I shortened it myself. Everything works on this. It has a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine. I trailered this out to Wasteland Weekend 2019, about 2,500 miles, and it did great. Had a few little casualties, a few pieces fell off, but nothing major. Did great out there in the desert, came back, still runs. I love this truck. Has some seating here in the back. That seat is actually from it's kind of a throwback to my original Wasteland vehicle I made, the Mercedes. That is a back seat from an '83 Mercedes-Benz. This barrel right here is for the gunner seat. Let's take a look inside. So that's where the gunner stands right there. Please ignore the immersive braking water bottle. And they stand up right there, and they can man the gun. This little window here I cut so that I could see while backing up, because otherwise I can't see at all. Still have some work to do to this. I would say it's maybe 85–90% done. I want to get the seat done and some more of the interior especially. But all I did was basically rip all the carpet out and all the plastics, most of the plastics. These doors I ripped off of the back fenders. This right here is the bed. That's the bed piece. This was where the wheel well was. That was right here. The skin, I took off one layer of skin, made a door out of it, made a little makeshift frame out of some metal at the junkyard, and it has the working hinges, so it can close. It latches right up there. And I can lock it. I can lock it by putting a pin in there, but I can't really see a reason to lock that thing. I decided to tie these rags all over it because I like the kind of primitive tribal look it has to it. These are all weathered rags that I soaked in oil and transmission fluid and things like that, and then I just kind of tied randomly. Now a lot of these were dangling straight down, but on the way to Wasteland Weekend they got knotted up like this, and I loved it, so I kept it. This fender and this hood I took off and threw in the fire to burn off the paint and to give it a nice nice burned up look. It's one of my favorite techniques for weathering metal, because you still have some of the original paint, you still have some of the black, the primer, and then of course you have the rust. And this even had a little bit of Bondo in it that got burned up. There's some more of that original paint. I cut the wheel wells larger for these larger tires. These things are about as Mad Maxed as the truck itself. They're so dry rotted. I basically have to fill them up every time I want to drive somewhere. This right here, this is the underskin. When I ripped the first layer of skin off of the bed here, this is what was underneath, and it's beautiful, and I kept it Perfect. Didn't really have to do much of that. This is my exhaust I built. It's just a single exhaust since it's just a 4-cylinder. Comes straight up here. I cut a little flame pattern, really crude looking flame pattern I cut up here. And what's funny is the reason I did that is because it actually does backfire and shoot flame out of there. Kind of unintended, but we'll see. These bullet holes here they came with the truck. I did not even put those in there. And I found those after I was beating the truck up a little bit to make it more distressed, and found those under the Bondo. Good times. That right there is the Farlander Silverman logo. During Wasteland Weekend 2019, I slept back here. I had another part of the bed that extended out from these holes right here. I had some pipes that came out and made another frame that every night I had to assemble to extend the bed out, make it about 7 feet long. And I'm 6 foot, so I fit in there very comfortably on a cot. And then I threw a canvas tarp over the top, a drop cloth over the entire top, and it was great. It was like sleeping in a tent. Every night I had to put that together for Wasteland Weekend. This here's my go-kart. I name it Mini Nuke. It's just a little Manco go-kart that I cut up, kind of moved the bars around a little bit, welded them back on, wrapped it up in this canvas cloth with some barge cement to make it look really weathered and nasty. Got some bones hanging there. Lost most of the bones on the way to Wasteland Weekend, but I did bring this out there. And then of course the rebar sticking up here with the cloth. It's all tangled up from the trip there and back, but I love it like that. It makes it look really nice. Little front nose cone here from a Cobalt wheelbarrow.
Now that was a great episode. I think the Apocalypse Post may have a new star.
Good boy.
And Windsor, you were pretty good too. If you guys want to be featured on the Apocalypse Post, please send me a message, leave a comment below, or email me at TheApocPost@gmail.com with whatever ideas you have about what you want to share. It can be a tutorial, a demonstration, or just you showing off all your cool post-apocalypse stuff. I'm looking for preppers, car wasters, costume makers, and anything else you guys can come up with. And as always, hit that thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode. And if you want to help support this channel and keep videos like this coming, please consider joining my Patreon where you'll get early access to every video I make. That link is going to be right here, right about here. Now. All right, see y'all next time. Stay alive.